The Valley of the Kings. To the casual observer, it is a graveyard of golden pharaohs and towering monuments. But to those who know its secrets, it is a labyrinth of unsolved murders, erased identities, and family bloodlines so twisted they defy modern logic. For 3,000 years, one room held a secret that the sands of time nearly swallowed whole, a secret so dark it wasn't meant to be found. The year was 1898. Victor Loret, a French archaeologist with a passion for the unknown, was excavating tomb KV 35. He had already found the magnificent sarcophagus of Pharaoh Amenhotep II. But as his torchlight flickered against the back wall of a small, undecorated side chamber, his heart stopped. He didn't find gold. He didn't find jewels. He found three naked, unceremonious bodies lying on the floor. No coffins, no names, no dignity. Two women and a young boy. They had been left there like trash in a storage closet. But it was the woman in the middle who drew Loret's attention. She was young, likely between 25 and 35 years old. Her head was shaved, her right arm was missing, and most hauntingly, her face had been brutally smashed, a gaping hole where her mouth and cheek should have been. Archaeologists called her the Younger Lady. For the next 112 years, she would become the greatest Jane Doe in human history. Early theories were explosive. Some experts looked at the elegant curve of her neck and the structure of her brow and made a daring claim. Was this the legendary Nefertiti, the beautiful one who vanished from the records? The world wanted it to be her. They wanted a face for the legend. But as we are about to find out in the buried truth files, the reality was far more complex and far more tragic than any legend could ever be. For decades after Victor Loret's discovery, the Younger Lady was nothing more than a curiosity. But as forensic science evolved, the mummy began to speak, not through words but through the brutal damage left on her remains. When researchers finally looked closer at the Jane Doe of tomb KV 35, they noticed something horrifying. This wasn't just a body that had decayed over time. This was a woman who had been physically destroyed. Look at her face. A massive, gaping hole occupies the left side of her mouth and cheek. For a century, Egyptologists believed this was the work of ancient grave robbers, thieves who smashed the body while looking for gold amulets hidden within the wrappings. But in 2003, a team led by Dr. Joanne Fletcher noticed a detail that changed the narrative. The edges of the bone around the wound were sharp. There was no evidence of healing, but the nature of the break suggested the injury happened at or near the time of death. This wasn't a post-mortem accident. This was a violent, fatal blow. Someone had struck this woman with such force that it shattered her jaw and cheekbone. Was this an assassination, a ritualistic murder, or a desperate act of jealousy? And then there is the mystery of her hair. Her head was found completely shaved. Beside her lay a wig, not the grand ornate wig of a queen, but a simple one. Even more strange was her missing right arm. It had been torn away, and for years archaeologists searched the tomb for it. When a detached arm was finally found in the debris of KV 35, it wasn't the arm of a commoner. The fingers were positioned to hold a scepter, a symbol of royal power reserved only for the highest-ranking members of the pharaoh's court. If she was royalty, why was she found naked and unnamed? In the world of the 18th dynasty, erasing someone's name was worse than killing them. It was a damnatio memoriae, a total erasure from eternity. Whoever the Younger Lady was, she was loved enough to be buried in the Valley of the Kings, but hated enough to have her face smashed and her name wiped from the walls of history. For over 100 years, one name haunted the mystery of the Younger Lady: Nefertiti, the great royal wife of the heretic king Akhenaten. She was the most beautiful woman of the ancient world, a queen who wielded power like no other woman before her. But when the 18th dynasty collapsed, Nefertiti vanished. No tomb was found, no mummy was identified. The world was desperate to find her. In 2003, the world thought the search was over. Dr. Joanne Fletcher, a prominent British Egyptologist, gained special permission to examine the three mummies of KV 35. She looked at the Younger Lady's elegant swan-like neck. She looked at the double-pierced earlobes, a rare fashion statement found in portraits of Nefertiti. She even found a regal Nubian wig nearby that matched the style of the Amarna period. The announcement sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Television documentaries were filmed, books were rewritten. It seemed the buried truth had finally come to light. The younger lady was the lost Queen of Egypt. But the victory was short-lived. Other scientists were skeptical. They pointed out that the younger lady's pelvis suggested she was too young to be Nefertiti, who had birthed 6 children. They argued that the double-pierced ears could have belonged to many royal women of that era. The debate turned into a war of words between the world's most powerful museums. Was this the face of the woman who ruled Egypt? Or were we so blinded by our desire to find a legend that we were ignoring the real evidence right in front of us? As the experts fought, a new technology was emerging, a technology that didn't care about the shape of a nose or the style of a wig, a technology that could reach inside the bones and pull out the truth. The era of the DNA revolution was about to begin, and it was about to prove that the younger lady was someone the world never expected. By 2010, the Nefertiti debate had reached a stalemate. Arguments over the shape of a skull or the style of a wig were getting nowhere. But behind the closed doors of the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, a team of scientists was preparing to do something that had never been done before on this scale. They were going to map the genetic code of the most famous family in history. This was the King Tut DNA project. Led by the legendary Dr. Zahi Hawass, the team extracted DNA from the teeth and bones of several mummies found in the Valley of the Kings. Among them was the boy king, Tutankhamun, and the 2 mystery women from tomb KV-35. Extracting DNA from a 3,000-year-old body is like trying to solve a puzzle where 90% of the pieces have turned to dust. Heat, moisture, and time are the enemies of genetic data. When the results finally flickered onto the computer screens, the buried truth hit the team like a lightning bolt. The DNA did not lie. It proved with 99.9% certainty that the elder lady found in the tomb was Queen Tut, King Tut's grandmother. But it was the results for the younger lady that changed everything. The data confirmed she was the daughter of Pharaoh Amenhotep III and Queen Tut. She was of pure royal blood, but more importantly, the DNA proved she was the biological mother of King Tutankhamun. The Jane Doe of KV-35 finally had a role. She was the mother of the Golden King. But the DNA revealed one more secret, a secret so scandalous it explained why her name might have been erased. The test showed that the younger lady's husband was her own brother. In the eyes of history, she wasn't just a mother. She was a participant in a royal bloodline so concentrated it was destined for tragedy. With the DNA results finalized, the world finally knew what the younger lady was, a daughter of a pharaoh, the sister wife of a king, and the mother of Tutankhamun. But the biggest question of the buried truth files remains: who was she? Why is there no monument to her name? Why was the mother of Egypt's most famous pharaoh left naked on a stone floor, her face shattered, hidden in a side chamber of someone else's tomb? Some historians believe she was a woman named Nebeta or Bekhetaten, princesses who disappeared from the record just as the Amarna Revolution began. Others suggest her name was erased because of the political chaos that followed the death of the heretic king, Akhenaten. In the struggle for the throne, being the mother of the future king made her a target. The wound on her face, the one that killed her, suggests she didn't die of old age or disease. It suggests she was silenced. Her life was defined by the walls of the palace and the secrets of the royal bloodline. She lived through a time of religious war, where gods were toppled and cities were built in the sand overnight. She gave life to a boy who would become a golden icon for eternity, yet she was denied an eternity of her own. But history has a way of refusing to stay buried. Through the miracle of modern science, we have looked into the eyes of a woman who was meant to be forgotten. We have reconstructed her face, mapped her blood, and returned her to her rightful place in the royal line of the 18th dynasty. The younger lady is no longer a Jane Doe. She is a reminder that every buried truth eventually finds its way to the light. Behind every golden mask and every towering pyramid, there is a human story, often one of blood, betrayal, and a mother's silent legacy. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the shadows of the past. If you want to help us uncover more of history's greatest secrets, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. The truth is out there, waiting to be unsealed. This has been the Buried Truth Files.